He's kind of one of those sideways on us.
The day had been going so well up to that point, the kart reminded us who's boss. I sent it a little too hard. Howdy, partner.
What up, dude? What's up, Trey?
Here we are.
How you doing, Big Bob? Whew. You're in one piece.
I'm in one piece, man. They did a good job over there. You know, they sewed me up good. So we're all healed up. Stitches are out. Could have been worse. So we're feeling good, man.
Nice, dude. Good to hear.
Heck yeah, brother.
So, you're in pretty good shape. How's the kart going?
Almost better shape than me, I think. We almost had no casualties on this thing, which I think speaks volumes to the design of this cage, which I'm happy about. Only things that we ran into that we got to kind of tweak, and I hesitate to even say fix, is the lights got tilted back a little bit, but they're on hinges anyways, so that's not a big deal. Straighten these bad boys back out. Tools might help. A little bit of some scuffing on here. Big Bob won't let me forget about that. Some dirt, some dust, nothing that won't buff out. We got a tiny little hairline hole in one of our tires, which we'll fix up. But beyond that, dude, this thing took it like a champ. You were there right after. You went to start it up. Wasn't it like first pull?
As soon as we got it out of the brush, she was good to go.
The big old sprocket got pushed over a little bit. Couple smacks with a mallet, and we drove her home. So kind of best case scenario for everybody. We did all right. All that said, all that could have been avoided. We made a lot of sort of oversights. There's a lot of things that we could have done differently to avoid it, and things that should have been an indication that it was gonna happen in the first place, right? Episode 1, we go into this, man.
I wanted to get through the woods. We want to bash through the trails.
This kart has always been designed for more technical trail riding, maximum clearance. It's lifted, wider. That's part of the problem. Right, we were sending it sideways in dirt, in a kart that's really meant to crawl and zip in a straight line, but not so much built for maneuvering that way. The driver's side here, where I was sitting, is hanging out over what used to be the side of the kart. So the weight distribution is now higher up and further out to the side when you have one person in it. So that made it kind of just waiting to tip over. If we're gonna be cranking in this thing, you're better off with 2 people from a weight distribution standpoint. I should have thought of that, but I didn't, and here we are. I should have been wearing a helmet, period. I got lucky, but should have been wearing a helmet. So we got helmets coming, and that'll be required for when we're actually sending it in this thing. Other thing that would have absolutely prevented me from really sustaining any kind of injury, I'm gonna make a mesh NASCAR style window net here with like 1-inch nylon strap, do a big sort of grid. That way your extremities, your arms, nothing's gonna come out the side, because that's ultimately what happened. My arm came out, the cart rolled over it. So with a window net here, you'd be locked into the interior of the cart, and at that point the roll cage is protecting you in addition to helmets, and we're probably gonna get some more padded sort of motocross style protective gear as well. Safety is definitely gonna be first moving forward, but this kart is almost done. We've got a handful of things to tackle on it. Big Bob's got some big plans for the floor to gussy this thing up a little bit.
So we had a plan a long time ago to do a diamond plate floor tray. Actually, there's a sample of the sheet that we're gonna use right here. So picture this, cut to size, obviously. I've got a template here that I started, and the only reason we haven't worked on it yet is it's one of the last things we want to do anyway, but there's a few more notches that we've got to make in the template. Bobby put in the e-brake, and we're going to do the choke down on the floor too.
Yep.
So that'll be the last piece. Then I can modify this template and we can cut the diamond plate and install it.
Yeah, it should drop right in, and then probably put some kind of a caulking underneath to mitigate any vibration, and then rivet the whole thing down, which would be cool.
Which is going to look pretty and be very cool. And then one of the other big things that's still hanging out there is paint. So,
Powder coat, baby.
Powder coat. So we're
Real
messing
deal.
around. We got some sample colors here. We're trying to make a decision, but we want it to look cool.
Kind of a T-Rex green of sorts.
Yeah. We ordered all these swatches, so gonna try to make a good decision here on, the color.
To accent that, all of this foam is gonna get wrapped in black, which would be sick. And then also to kind of clean this thing up and button it up for good, all of my wiring here, this is very temporary. I think I mentioned that. I'm actually gonna design and 3D print a housing that's gonna come down here that will enclose all of our electronics. We'll route all this a little bit better and it'll all be kind of nestled in behind a nice, pretty, probably black cowl to hide all that. Any of you off-road fanatics got to be familiar with, I think KC is one of the big ones. With the off-road lights, some rock guards in case, rock or limbs or anything smack into your lights. You don't want them to break. So we're gonna actually design and 3D print some covers to go over all of these lights. And we may incorporate that logo that we've been talking about for a couple episodes. We were planning to reveal that last time.
Yeah.
And things went a little sideways. Before we get into all that, what do you say we get this tire patched up and get this thing running again? Because it hasn't stretched its legs since we pulled out of the woods.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
Now it's set up. Okay, so as you can see, we're down a tire. We're gonna fix that today. There's our only casualty from that little crash like we talked about. So it's just a tiny little pinhole from a thorn, of all things. So instead of pulling the tire off and doing a full patch on the inside, I think we're gonna be able to get away with just sliming it. I've seen this product on the shelves in Walmart for quite some time, but I was a little skeptical of it, but I just saw the guys on Cars and Cameras use it to fix a couple of their flats, and they spoke quite highly of it. So we're gonna give it a try today. So basically what we're gonna do is this stuff right here, we're gonna pump right into the stem here. For this size tire, they say about 20 to 24 pumps. So we'll pump a bunch of this goop inside here, spin this thing around a couple times, bolt it back on, take it for a rip, get those RPMs up, and get it all evenly distributed, and we should be able to seal our little hole. Now Trey, if you come in close here, you can see what a tiny hole we're talking about. I marked it from earlier, but look, right here, you can barely even see it, right? That tiny little pin right there, I'll spray it with a little water here. You can see it's leaking like a sieve. So first things first, let's get this stem out of here. The stem's gonna stay in, but there's actually an inner valve core, and we're gonna pull that right out. And that way, we can hook this right up, pump that stem full of goop, full of slime, technically, and hopefully that should do the trick for us. So let's just get this thing all set up. There she is. Okay. Like I said, I haven't used this stuff before, so this is kind of our first test of it. But this little guy should slide right on there. Let's see, is she gonna pump? We may have to clear this, unclog this pump first, because it's been, oh, here we go. Ooh, dude, look at that. All right, so what do we say? About 20? One.
Oh.
What is this, Nickelodeon? There we go. Okay. All right. Just move this off camera. Hey, cleans up nice. This is not a sponsored video. Oh, dude, I feel like a Ghostbuster, man. All right, and then just so we don't have any clogging issues, I'm actually gonna go in with a Q-tip and just clear out the actual stem. Core is in. All All right, let's air this bad baby up. Always check the side of your tire if you're unsure about what PSI to fill it to. This one says 7 PSI operating, 20 PSI max to set bead. We're gonna go to about 10 PSI because we may lose some while this stuff sets. All right, well, there we are. Give this a little roll over. Hey, Big Bob, you wanna play catch?
Don't hit the gimbal.
No, I know, right? All right, so that's not bad for a preliminary coating. Let's see if we're still leaking. Dude, it's already sealed.
Wow.
That's nasty. Wow. Okay, so let's bolt this thing back on and then we'll actually drive it. That way we can get full and even distribution of this slime all the way throughout the inside, because they say you can put it right back on and drive it immediately. So let's just go ahead and do that.
Nice to see her out of the garage.
For real.
Brake's a little bit light.
Is it?
I was stomping on it really good. So
We may have to adjust that.
yeah. Back.
Yeah, dude.
Not so bad. Like I said, we got to tweak the brakes a little bit.
That'll be easy.
Pedals feel good. Like I said, other than the brake, but they feel good. It's just, I think the brake needs an adjustment back. That's all. But running nice. Good. Beautiful.
We're back in action.
Woo! Yes, sir.
How'd it feel?
Good. The power is all there.
Perfect.
Yep. Steering's a little loose. I think
That makes sense.
You knew that after what we've been through.
Yeah. We may upgrade that whole rack, honestly.
Yeah.
Something a little more robust, because there's too much plastic in that for me to be comfortable when this thing's so beefy.
I had no brake. Otherwise, ran well.
All right. So we talked about it in episode 6. We teased it in episode 7.
Yes.
Episode 8 fell apart on us,
It did.
and I don't think the people can wait anymore. We got to reveal that logo.
Let's do it.
Now, Trey, you might have a little surprise for us too, don't you?
I've been working on a little bit of footage leading up to this momentous occasion. We've been filming for a while now, and there's some pretty cool clips of all y'all. So let's roll that.
Do it.
Good.
I think that fits, man. I think that's so perfect. I couldn't be any happier. Wayne, I know you're watching, man. You crushed it.
You nailed it, Wayne.
You guys may have noticed this if you were watching real carefully. Up here in the background, I got that for Big Bob. Had that made for his birthday. We were ready to reveal that episode 8, but now we finally got a logo to fit the name, you know? And how cool is that gonna look on shirts, hats, stickers? Yeah. There might be merch in our future.
That sounds good. I want one.
We'll have to get on that.
Sleeveless.
Of course.
Shades, you gotta have
some Tyranis shades.
Oh yeah.
We'll get after it. But Trey, great little sizzle reel there, bud. Those highlights.
Thank you, my guy.
Nice.
Crushed it. So at this point, we've got our logo. That cart, we've got finishing touches to do, but functionally we're kind of done. And especially in light of me rolling that thing over, I think it's about time that we make our transition into the red cart.
Agreed. 100%.
So the red cart now is in the workshop bay. It's a long time coming. This is where we started. As you can see, we talked about it in episode 1, but we'll just do another quick little rundown of what's going on here. As you can see, all the red is pretty much where the stock frame was. We took this whole cage, cut it all the way off. Now it's all welded down like we did on that one, and for good reason. The top here is different. The rack back here, we made a bunch of adjustments to in order to fit our big gas tank underneath. So this thing is gonna be really sick. And the biggest difference is this cart has a lot of history. We've had this for years, and it's seen a lot of miles just in its stock configuration. So this one's gonna stay red. This one's gonna stay as true as we can to the original Yerf Dog origins, but we've also already made some changes to increase performance. So one of the first things I did was take this whole seat out, cut all the brackets off, and dropped it completely down onto the frame, because the goal here, more so than on that cart, is to keep our center of gravity low and centered as well as possible to mitigate any kind of chance of rollover. Also, on that cart, we've got a pretty good forward-leaning slant and a lot of clearance underneath. On this one, what we're actually gonna do is, right now it's sitting on kind of the stock mounts that actually raise the body up off the axle. And instead, what I'm gonna end up doing is pulling that right off and dropping it right down onto the axle like that. Keep this back end as low as possible. We'll have the bigger tires to give us a little bit of added clearance, but this one's gonna sit pretty flat. We're gonna go wider on the rears, wider in the fronts. It's gonna be super wide tracked, very cross kart-esque. This one's definitely gonna be more geared towards getting sideways, and we'll take the same safety precautions. I'll build some nets for this one, but different karts for different applications. That's kind of what we're doing here. So I'm really excited about this one, dude. This thing's gonna be crazy. Safe sends are the best sends, as we've learned.
You sound like my gym teacher.
You know, you're my best friend, my dude. Big mouth aside, this thing's just gonna be a slightly different animal, and I think it's gonna come out really, really cool. It's gonna be definitely fun to have too. We've been missing that because me and Big Bob are always fighting over who gets to drive. I won't mind putting that behind us. Like I said, this one's gonna stay red. That one, like you saw, we're probably gonna go green. Do you have the red swatch for this?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So there's our powder coat color for this bad boy. Pretty close to the original, but minus all the fade. It's gonna be a pretty sick, high performance looking red, so that'll be awesome. Oh, the other thing that we didn't do on your cart, but this cart's gonna be asking for it. We're not gonna play any games, governor's coming out from the beginning. We're gonna be governed by valve float, okay? That's about it. Once we start losing compression because we've hit too high of an RPM, that's where your top speed's at. So this thing's gonna be a little monster, man. And probably gonna be quite a bit lighter too.
I was gonna say that, lighter, definitely. Sweet.
I'm excited to get working again too. It's been a lot of little stuff here and there trying to get that thing dialed in. Now I get to start really throwing sparks again and throw the welding helmet back on, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's enough for today. Mom's got food waiting for us, so I think we better wrap this one up. What about you, Trey? You hungry?
I'm starving, man.
All right, we'll catch you next episode. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the goodies we go throwing on this thing. We got a lot coming very, very soon, so let's take just some B-roll and get out of here.